Welcome to my scientifically informed insider look at mental health topics. If you find this video to be interesting or helpful, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if I can take a look at ways that somebody can manipulate a narcissist. Now, manipulating a narcissist in the long run, I think, is hazardous, and I think an argument can even be made that it could be hazardous in the short run. Some would say it's exactly the wrong thing to do, and I tend to agree with this. In a way, it promotes narcissism because it's often the same as placating or encouraging the narcissist. So I like to think of this topic more as keeping the peace with the narcissist as opposed to manipulating the narcissist. Manipulation has kind of a negative connotation to it. Either way, they'll answer this question by looking at the 10 ways to manipulate a narcissist, or, as I would prefer, 10 ways of keeping the peace with the narcissist. If manipulation is bad, if it does have a negative connotation to it, why learn about it? Is it even a good idea to uncover these techniques and learn what they would be, how somebody could manipulate a narcissist? Well, I think it's important to recognize these behaviors because sometimes we see them in others. Narcissists often recruit people to help them to manipulate and to harm. I call these people narcissistic agents. Others call them flying monkeys, reference to the Wizard of Oz. But either way, these agents do manifest a lot of these manipulation tactics. So in a sense, they're trying to manipulate the narcissist as the narcissist has power over them and is manipulating them. Another group that sometimes manifests these manipulative behaviors would be victims of the narcissist. So sometimes they try to manipulate the narcissist just to survive. Now, other than seeing these patterns in other people, there's one more reason to learn these techniques. Sometimes there's really no avoiding interaction with narcissists. Sometimes we don't have the choice of just pushing them to the side and doing something else because it's a work situation or a family situation where you really have to interact with the narcissist. So again, sometimes we can think of these manipulation strategies as more in the short term, just doing something to survive momentarily, maybe to get something that the narcissist has access to that you need, like they're the gatekeeper for something that you need, or to keep the peace with them temporarily, or to get them to stop harassing you or somebody else. So just a short-term manipulation to move past the narcissist, to survive an interaction with them. So I'm not advocating being dishonest. I believe the solution really is in the other direction, being candid with narcissists and encouraging them to get treatment, so accountability. But again, sometimes in certain situations, you just need to survive that interaction with the narcissist. So let's look at these 10 ways to manipulate a narcissist. The first way here is don't be stunned in a negative way. So what do I mean by this? Well, narcissistic behavior is offensive. It brings up a feeling of disgust in a lot of people. And feelings of disgust can be difficult to conceal. So when first interacting with somebody, if you realize they're narcissistic, there's this tendency to show that disgust, to be stunned in a negative way, at least negative from the point of view of the narcissist. And this isn't helpful if you need to get something from the narcissist. This can start the relationship off on the wrong foot or the interaction off on the wrong foot. Moving to the second item, this is avoid criticizing the narcissist. Just like that feeling of disgust, it can be difficult to avoid making a direct criticism when we see offensive, blatant, arrogant, condescending behavior. If we can avoid criticism, we can often have a much better chance of being successful when interacting with the narcissist. Avoiding criticism reduces the risk of narcissistic rage in somebody who has grandiose narcissism. And of course, if somebody has vulnerable narcissism, they're going to be hypersensitive to criticism. So they're going to pick up on that criticism right away. Moving to item number 3, this one is complimenting the narcissist. And this one's fairly extensive. I have several parts under this item. This taps into the excessive need for admiration that we see narcissists have. So a few things to remember when paying a compliment to a narcissist. The first thing to remember under this area is to be sincere. So these aren't perfunctory compliments, not just an average compliment. They have to be delivered with some level of sincerity, a higher level of sincerity. Next point under this compliments item, be impressed. So when the narcissist tells you about themselves, some sort of skill they have, say it's in a work environment, you really have to react somewhat strongly, not over the top, but kind of impressed, like, wow, I understand why people are so impressed with your work. Like a little bit of disbelief. How come no one else sees how great this person is? Again, you're conveying this to the narcissist. You could say something like, the world would be a better place if the narcissist was in charge. So if you're talking to the narcissist, the world would be a better place if you ran this company. You could also use statements like, you should run for president. You should be the owner of this company. Why don't other people here understand what you're doing? Like, so their work is so incredible, their abilities, that other people can't really catch on to how significant they are. Another type of compliment is comparing them to famous people. Often narcissists really like this. They like to identify with high status individuals. So an owner of a company, a politician, a famous actor, somebody like that. You could also communicate to them that you understand that they are already legendary. So narcissists don't want to think of themselves as being successful in the future as much as being successful in the present. So you could be that one person that realizes how special they are in the moment. If they pay a compliment in return to you for providing a compliment, this is actually somewhat unlikely, but if they do that, you could tell them that it's really special coming from them, right? So if they say something nice about you, you can push that back into another compliment by saying, coming from you, that really means something. So in a way, pumping them up even more. Now, as I mentioned, there are many risks to attempting to manipulate or even keep the peace with a narcissist. With grandiose narcissism, usually compliments can be a little bit more successful than with vulnerable narcissism because grandiose narcissists are typically oblivious that you're complimenting them, but you really don't mean it all the way. Vulnerable narcissists process information a little differently. They tend to review conversations in their head later, looking for moments of insincerity. So there's a lot of distrust with vulnerable narcissism. So if somebody goes over the top with complimenting a vulnerable narcissist, they might not get that in the moment, but they'll process that later on and realize that they were being played that whole time. So then we can see the narcissistic rage, again, kind of a delayed effect. One way to get around this a little bit is to continually reassure the vulnerable narcissist. So to compliment them repeatedly so they believe those compliments are real. So essentially, with vulnerable versus grandiose here, a vulnerable narcissist is harder to manipulate or negotiate with because of that distrustfulness, right? That's really the key. If they don't trust you, they might not also trust a compliment that's delivered by you. So complimenting in general may be effective, but a lot of people have difficulty complimenting a narcissist. I think for the obvious reasons. The narcissist, again, is arrogant, condescending, they have a sense of entitlement. So it's difficult to support that behavior in any way. So some of these other items I'll be going through, even though they do tend to encourage the narcissist, a lot of them aren't as drastic as paying a direct, kind of over-the-top compliment. So item number 4 here is to double-check the advice from competent people with the narcissist. So if you get advice from somebody in a company setting, you could go by the narcissist and say, I just wanted to get your thoughts before proceeding with this advice. I just wanted to double-check this with you. This expert gave me advice, but what do you think? Right? Instead of expert, you could use the word boss or manager or anybody that's considered kind of higher ranking than the narcissist. So the nice part about this technique is because a higher level authority gave you the advice, the narcissist might not blame you if you don't follow their advice, right? They understand that you kind of have to follow the advice of the person who's higher up. So this gives you a way to make peace with the narcissist without actually having to follow the narcissist advice. Item number 5, this is to be mad on behalf of the narcissist. So with this item, we're really trying to understand why they don't like other people and to connect with that a little bit. So you could say something like, it's sad that others would treat you so poorly, they can't see how great you are. So again, kind of tying in with what I talked about earlier. If I was in your position, I would be upset too. So kind of empathizing with the narcissist. So in a way, you're really just trying to see things from their point of view and get a little bit upset along with them at other people that are hurting or offending the narcissist. Item number 6 here is ask for their advice and be amazed by their reply. This could also be combined with item number 4, double checking the advice from a competent person with the narcissist. The key with item number 6 is the being amazed part. So I never would have thought of that. That's genius. Even just a quick, really compliment like that can make a big difference. And especially when it comes right after hearing the advice. So the narcissist says something, and it may be intelligent or not. It may have a clear narcissistic edge to it, component to it, or not. But either way, there's that spontaneous moment of just recognizing that that advice could be valuable. And I think that does mean a lot to a narcissist. That can have a particularly important impact. They really feel like you're getting it, that you understand that they have good ideas. Item number 7 is offer to help the narcissist. So you could say, look, you have a tremendous amount of responsibility. What can I do to help you? This really sends the message that what the narcissist is doing is important. And you understand that the world would fall apart if the narcissist couldn't complete their job, right? Couldn't complete whatever work they're trying to do. So in a sense, this is kind of joining with the narcissist to meet a common goal, to accomplish a common goal, something that they want, and in theory, something that you could want as well. With this item, offering help to the narcissist, sometimes if you do this, they'll volunteer to help you. So again, this is where we get to kind of the manipulation component or the kind of getting along with them component. Item number 8, ask them about their dreams, right? Their fantasies, and don't be mortified by their reply. So one of the key characteristics of narcissism is the narcissist has fantasies of success, power, wealth, the ideal love, and many of these fantasies are disturbing, not from the point of view of the narcissist, but from the point of view of everyone else. Often when you ask a narcissist about their fantasies, they tell you a little bit about the fantasy and then gauge your reaction. So you really want to be excited about their fantasy world and not disgusted, right? That's really the key. So the reaction has to be kind of engaged, empathic. That sounds interesting, but keeping in mind, of course, as I mentioned, it will likely be quite disturbing. Some of them are extremely disturbing. Also, as part of this, you don't want to make suggestions on how to improve it, right? Narcissists don't react well to that. So if they're explaining their fantasy, they really have it the way they want it. They don't need advice on how to improve it. I think sometimes they look at advice about their fantasies as really criticism. So their fantasy isn't good enough. They have it a certain way, and in order to get along with them, in a sense, you have to appreciate it in the way they're presenting it. Item number 9 is empathizing with their feelings. Now, this is partially covered in some of the other items, but I wanted to go through some of the different characteristics of narcissism and where there are opportunities to empathize. So interestingly, you can empathize with their lack of empathy. That's one of the traits of narcissism. For example, everyone is too touchy-feely these days, right? So the narcissist is often cold and callous. They don't empathize with people. So that type of statement might make them feel like you understand them, like you understand that other people may be too sensitive. In terms of their need to manipulate, you could say something like, some people can be so stubborn. So in a sense, recognizing that from the narcissist point of view, manipulation isn't always bad. In terms of grandiosity, you could say something like, you have to act important to be important, right? So the narcissist is always acting important, and that validates their behavior. So you get it. Again, that's the point of empathy. You really get what they're going through. In terms of dominance, you could say something like, if you don't take charge, nothing is going to get done around here, right? So again, kind of connecting with their desire to dominate. In terms of their overwhelming confidence, you could say something like, if I were as smart, attractive, powerful, and skilled as you, I would be confident too, right? So kind of mixing a compliment with a bit of empathy. Sometimes with narcissists, we see something called communal narcissism. So they want to be recognized for helping other people. This doesn't happen all the time, but we do see it on occasion. So this gives an opportunity for someone to view their behavior as a way to help others, not themselves. So to recognize the good work that the narcissist has done and their intention to do good work, their intention to be seen that way. So you could say something like, you're just looking out for everyone else, right? You're just trying to help other people. Or you're demanding because you know what's best for other people or for your workers. So even when a narcissist is more agentic as opposed to communal, so if a narcissist really is highly self-centered and they don't particularly care about trying to help other people and looking good that way, they'll probably still like this type of attitude. They'll probably still like somebody coming to them and saying, I see you're just trying to help other people through your behavior. especially taking some of the more destructive behaviors and pointing out how there's maybe a good side to them or a good intention behind them. And this brings me to item number 10, the last item here in my list. And this one is don't put yourself down. It's really a common tactic when trying to negotiate with a narcissist to say something like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm so glad that you're around, right? So just taking a position where you don't have any value and the narcissist has a tremendous amount of value. Narcissists are less disgusted by other narcissists. So an important part of this feature here, notice I use the word less disgusted as opposed to less impressed. So the narcissist is generally disgusted by everybody, but with other narcissists, again, they're less disgusted. So sometimes when trying to negotiate with the narcissist, we have to shoot for a goal like that, right? The goal is to be less disgusting from their point of view, right? It's not really a pro-social position on their part, but it is the way they behave, right? So that's kind of what we're aiming for. It's very difficult to impress the narcissist, but it's possible to be less disgusting to them. The bottom line with this item is that the narcissist wants a competent person to like them. If you label yourself as unimportant, there's no reason for the narcissist to help you. The key is to appear good or even great, but not at the same level as the narcissist. So you could say something like, I consider myself good at this particular skill, but you are incredible. From their point of view, because you are competent, if you appear to be competent, you can better appreciate their skills and abilities. They want a worthy audience to admire them. So it's not just the admiration that matters. It's not like the quantity of admiration is all that matters to the narcissist. It's also the quality of the person who's giving them admiration. Many narcissists would rather have one important person recognize part of their skill set or their abilities than 100 people that they consider to be unimportant recognize those abilities, right? So again, not always quantity, sometimes it's quality. So these are my 10 ideas for getting along with the narcissist, trying to manage the narcissist. Again, it's important to keep in mind the risks of attempting to manipulate a narcissist and the risks of even trying to get along with them or keep the peace with them or negotiate with them in any way, right? There's risks when dealing with narcissists, period, right? Especially if you're trying to trick them in some way or maneuver around some of their characteristics in some way. So caution is always advised when interacting with people who are narcissistic, regardless of whether we're talking about grandiose or vulnerable, and really regardless of the setting, work setting, romantic setting, other settings. Narcissists always have a destructive potential to them, and we have to be careful of that. I know whenever I talk about topics like narcissism, there will be a variety of opinions. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be interesting. Thanks for watching.